Guardian Radio, your station for up-to-the-minute news and intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversations. 96.9 FM. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of the management and staff of Guardian Radio.
Tell me you're here, not just in moment. Tell me you'll find me in the light. I'll give you my head, my hopes. Find your way back to my life and don't say goodbye just yet. Won't open my eyes just yet. All of my hope has been waiting in the shadow of your love. Oh, and my heart keeps on breaking every dawn. Don't take forever, although I'd wait right here that long. I'll give you my head, my always. Find your way back to my arms and don't say goodbye just yet. Won't open my eyes just yet. Don't say goodbye just yet. Just yet.
Good morning and welcome to On the Clock with Erin Greene on this Thursday, the 20th of February, 2025. Today is a day you probably could tell because the show didn't open as it normally opens. And my life has been changed. Not the foolishness I've been talking about all week about changing my life from Christ. Not that foolishness. My life has been changed. I'd like to take a moment to share condolences with former Senator and former Ambassador Desmond Edwards and his family on the loss of his son, D. Marquin Edwards. Marquin was a personal friend for decades. Marquin was a man that needed to carve his own path. Marquin personified the African concept of Sankofa. This idea that we must push forward, but we must remember to always bring with us from the past that which is most valuable. Marquin needed to be, wanted to be, was his own man. But he never forgot from whence he came. I'm still too sad and shaken up to give a tribute that does Marquin justice so that you would know who he is. But in this moment, I want to share two things. I'd like Marquin's children to know that he loved them more than life. He loved them more than life, and no matter how much distance grew between them, they were always in his heart and always on his mind. And outside of his children, he loved his mommy and his daddy the most. He loved in a way, or y'all would say, he just loved. He loved everything, but most importantly, he loved his children. He loved his mother and his father. and he loved his friends. Marquin, we gonna miss you, babe. We gonna miss you. Now you go find LeVar. You go find LeVar and tell him, catch us some good barracuda in the sky, please, because we miss him. We miss him, and now we are missing you. Thank you for sharing this moment with me. And once again, we send condolences to his family, to his children, to his father, to his community, to his friends, to his loved ones. Thank you. All right, let's get the show started. Joining me in studio today is Mr. Ian Munnings. Morning, Mr. Munnings.
Good morning, Ms. Greene.
Good.
Good morning, Bahamas.
Good. Now, look here, I need you to do me a favor. I need you to tell your wife that you got another cousin now, right? See, because people think because I identify as a lesbian, it means I hate men and I don't have no man in my life and rah, 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 rah.
You love us even though you row us.
That's right. I value the men in my life and the energy that they have and that they bring. I gonna need another cousin, Ian, because Marquin gone. But I'm glad to have you.
Pleasure to be here.
We got lots to talk about today. Now, mind you, I am awaiting a guest, so let me share that news very quickly. I'm hoping that Maz Joaquin will join us in studio today. He is one of the originators, founders, the leads on one of Nassau's, New Providence's, the Bahamas' latest animation project, Nassau Rock. And the animation, it's a series, right? The animation, the first episode, was nominated. It's been nominated already for Best Animation Short at the Indie Short Fest, Los Angeles International Short Film Festival, right? And we want to say congratulations to Maz and the entire Nassau Rock team on this achievement. Now, they didn't win the category. The category was won by a short called Lifted by Daniel Robichaud from the US. But other nominees include a short Mind Distress by Almir Nago from France, Presence by Tai Young Choi and Julia Taylor-Voss from Australia, and Puggy Huggy by Sungwon Kim from South Korea. So maybe Maz is going to join us a little later in the show. I want to keep that space open for him. But I got lots to talk about with Mr. Munnings today. Just before we get there, y'all thought I wasn't going to remind y'all about 242 Day. I reminding y'all about 242 Day, buddy.
We got a whole lot to talk about today. Today is going to be a hot topic today.
Okay then. All right then. So remember, this Monday, February 24th, is 242 Day. We celebrate 242 Day on the 24th day of the second month of every year. To celebrate 242 Day, all you got to do is show your pride. Fly your Bahamian flags, wear Bahamian flag colors, eat Bahamian food, create and listen to Bahamian music, donate in sequences of 242, consider pricing items in sequences of 242. Let's have fun. Let's have a good time. Also, talking about good time, Kalik knows how to have a good time. Kalik, the Bear of the Bahamas, invites you to Victory Fest 2025. Join us Saturday, March 1st at Smuggler Square for an epic celebration of the 2024 Boxing Day and 2025 New Year's Day Junkanoo winners, the Saxons Superstars. The Junkanoo season may be over, but the celebration is just getting started. Enjoy music by Playhouse DJs, Little Giant and DJ Tank, and performing live, Fanshawn and D-Mac. Let's celebrate the 4 straight Junkanoo winners, Saxons Superstars. Say congratulations once again to the Saxons. Y'all good, you know. Y'all ain't as good as the Spirit, the greatest scrap group in the history of Junkanoo white people in the whole world, except for the pigs and the Methuselahs. But y'all decent bad. I want to say good morning to fellow Guardian host, Kendany Campbell-Moss, a.k.a. IQ Kenny, a.k.a. Saxon Superstar. We say good morning, and we're looking forward to Victory Fest. Now, Smugglers Square is the square in Bay Street at the bottom of Cumberland Street, right? So opposite Dunkin' Donuts. It's where Pirates of Nassau, the Pirate Museum used to be. The square right in front of that building, that's Smugglers Square. All right, Mr. Munnings, two things I want to talk about today. Of course, the first is this headline. Well, not the first. One is nearly 500 public service retirees rehired. I also have from day before yesterday's newspapers, the announcement that the Honorable Perry Gladstone Christie has been appointed or asked to sit in an advisory capacity with the new Urban Renewal Authority, right? And so discussion raised some questions. And little did I know that we were going to have some follow-up issues to add to the conversation. So I want to have that conversation today. But before we get there, Mr. Munnings, I want to talk just briefly about this headline. SpaceX impact assessment to land soon, says government. I would like to laugh. I need to laugh a little bit today. SpaceX impact assessment to land soon, says government. If you are familiar with the laws that govern environmental impact assessments, then you would understand why I am holding back laughter at this headline. See, because an EIA, an environmental impact assessment, the process requires that the EIA is made public before approval for a project is granted. Another part of the process is that a space must be created for public feedback, for public consultation and feedback. There must be a response to that feedback, or at the very least, when approval is given or denied, you would expect a response to the most salient issues raised in that consultation what's the word I use? That process right there. And so, we can read just briefly, Mr. Munnings. The government will publicly release the environmental study related to its agreement with SpaceX to land rocket boosters in the Bahamas, according to Latre Ramming, Director of Communications at the Office of the Prime Minister. I mean, so now you understand how inflammatory that first paragraph or the information shared in it is. What are you telling me? You telling me that you broke the law. You telling me that you disregarded the rules and regulations relevant to this process.
At times you have to bear in mind that there is a difference between procedures and practices. And so procedures and practices are two different things. Practices are things that people carry out on a normal basis, not necessarily mean by the guidelines of the law. Mm-hmm. Procedures are things or steps in which one would have been taken. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is the way to get to the end.
And see, I could understand that, right? Because the Constitution does not provide for or prescribe the office of Deputy Prime Minister. See, that would be what you call that? That's the procedure. The practice is that we practice foolishness, and we have created an office of a Deputy Prime Minister. And we have allowed and enabled people all over the world to identify a cabinet minister by deputy prime minister, right? So I get it. I understand it, like the difference between procedure and practice. Let me continue reading.
But if it has to be considered, and the public have to be aware in regards of what it is that you're actually doing. What is the outline for everything that we're doing? Mm-hmm. What is the cost of what these people are actually paying us? Do the people even know at this moment what summary of funds these persons would have said that they are going to do 20 of these rocket landings within a year? What is per launch? What is it? And then what's going to happen if something happens out of the ordinary? Some level of fallouts. Like you said, the assessments on the environment. Mm-hmm. Who is there then to say this is what has been in place? If something flies from the sky and hits somebody's roof, for whatever reason you're talking about the house insurances, All of these things looked at. Have we come to some conclusion, or is just one of those rush things that we want to say that we have done, and so everybody can marvel? Oh yeah, we did this. And then if it is for tourists to come into the Bahamas, the reality is how much heads in the bed did this one rocket, or the first rocket,
actually attract? And do you have an economic assessment? Can you extract from the broader picture how much of the dollars spent was spent directly toward getting here to watch the rocket, right? There are a lot of issues that have not been fleshed through. For instance, after the incident in January in Turks and Caicos, where a rocket exploded and debris landed on terrain, on land, and not just in water, have we had a statement from the local insurance industry about this, about whether they feel there's a need to change the structure of insurance policies? Because if you tell me a rocket blew up and a piece of rocket hit my house, if you tell me that that's an act of God, I can tell you Elon Musk is not a God. And I don't care what Trump say or what the Americans or South Africans say, that boy is not a God. So tell me what will happen if a rocket that has a trajectory over the Bahamas explodes and damages homes and structures, or even people, injures or kills a person.
Yes, definitely.
Right? What should we expect? Let me continue reading from the article because we got another subject we want to talk about. Dr. Rihanna Neely Murphy, director of the Department of Environmental Planning and Protection, later told the Tribune that the document is expected to be posted once several administrative issues are resolved, possibly within a day. I'd like to stick a pin there, Mr. Munnings. See, here's the thing. I know my government picked the theme song for 2024 from singing Pastor Lawrence, Loose as a Goose. I know that's their theme song for the 2024 season. Nobody, though, understanding that, like you say, and understanding the difference between procedure and practice in the government in the Bahamas, right? Nobody expects the government to take a loose as a goose approach to the aeronautical industry. Right? We don't expect that.
Definitely not. Not especially after we were for some time promoting the environment and the impacts of the environment.
Right. The amount of time,
effort, and
energy,
money.
effort, and resources that the state has put into...
The most valuable asset is the payment people money.
Right. Into advocating for a climate justice platform. Right? The amount of resources to then turn around and behave in a way that suggests that the environmental concerns are the least of our worries. And to have state actors and people associated with the state suggest that people who raise concern about any part of the procedure are just extremists and like to complain about anything and everything. But let me repeat this. See, because here's what it is. This lack of adherence to protocol and procedure, you making a mockery of the experts and the expertise in this country. Imagine what it means for a Dr. Rihanna Neely Murphy, director of the Department of Environmental Planning and Protection, to have to open her mouth and say that the document is expected to be, or say something that intimates, because this is not a direct quote.
Definitely.
Say something that suggests or intimates or leaves the author of this article to write with no fear.
Of victimization.
Well, not victimization. No, we ain't going that far, but no fear of being of being incorrect, right? Like, this is what they said. That the document is expected to be posted once several administrative issues are resolved, possibly within a day.
What are these administration difficulties that they seem not to be able to do so?
What does it matter? You already launched the rocket. What could the administrative issues have to do with the EIA?
That is my point. My point is that these particular kinks in the line should have already been laid out. You don't wait till you've already done something and then say, I'm going to bring it afterwards.
Yeah. It's, here's the next point I want to make before I continue reading. Earlier articles indicate, in fact, it's the All Systems Go article posted by the Tribune February 14th, that's Valentine's Day. I think that article indicated that each landing will require a separate approval, specific approval. So there's not an approval for all 20 landings, but that each landing must be assessed and approved, right? The conditions, whatever the dynamics are. So does that mean that an EIA has to be produced for each landing? I am going to suggest that an EIA needs to be produced for each landing because you need to be able to forecast or determine what an accumulative effect could be from all of the landings, right? After producing EIAs for at least 3 landings, we should be able to determine, right, with reason, what an accumulative effect of contaminants in the water may be, what an accumulative effect of sea level rise may be if sea level sea level and then sea temperature rise, if they occur, what would be the accumulative effect, right? Anyway, let's stick a pin. I got some text. I want to go to the phone line. Producer, let's prep that caller. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Erin and your guests. How are you this morning?
I'm good, thank you,
Good
sir.
morning.
Just one comment about this, because this is I think, a very good discussion that we're having after the fact. The question I have, there are persons who reported hearing the sonic boom and the noise and what's not. I didn't witness that, but I saw the chatter from friends in my groups and what's not. And they're in New Providence. I want to understand, how does a resident of Exuma, who's in their 70s, who may have not known about this event, how was their day when they heard that happening? And did the persons who agreed and promoted this thing, and I'm not saying it's a bad or good thing, did they take into account what could be the experience of that individual not knowing what is happening at the time for the duration of when that was happening? It might have been a very frightful thing.
Absolutely. Here's my thing. Did SpaceX see it fit to make available and accessible sound protection? Like the headphones that muffle sound? Did they offer those and give them to people who requested them, senior citizens, and tell them that they should wear them for the duration, right, for a particular duration, in case the sound is startling?
Yes. And Erin, I want to make this final point before I come off the phone.
Yes, sir.
The questions you asked and the questions that we're now discussing and I would have thought that would have happened prior to. We cannot continue as a nation to talk about how to get it right the next time when we had an opportunity to get it right beforehand, because to me it's like you can't let the damage occur and then talk about how to stop further damage rather than considering more carefully.
And that's not even what they're going to do. What they're going to do is convince us that the damage is not sufficient to even warrant further conversation. Thank you very much, caller.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. A great point made. You know how easy it is to provide noise-canceling headphones to residents in Exuma? Let me go to the next caller.
Next caller.
And then I want to ask a question. Well, exactly what was the sonic boom, the noise that we heard? Good morning, caller. Good morning, caller. You there?
Yeah, good morning, Ms. Greene. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Well, I want to make 3 points.
Yes, sir.
One, insurance companies wouldn't pay you even in a car accident, so they most definitely wouldn't pay you if a rocket hit your house.
Elon Musk is not God.
Second thing I want to bring up, right,
Yeah.
is the fact that my problem is the cleanup efforts just in case of an accident. What is the cleanup efforts entailing?
Absolutely.
And also the third thing is, right, dirt isn't the only form of pollution. There's something called noise pollution. What is the noise pollution levels within those areas of the rocket?
Sir, let me show you a why dead quick. Has anybody done a study of the impact, like you say, of the noise pollution on bee populations?
Birds.
and bird population, but bees because they are even more vital to the sustainability of human life and life on the planet.
And one more thing,
Yes,
right?
sir.
Okay, it's human nature to fear what you don't understand. That's just by human nature.
True.
Are we basically gravitating towards the negative aspect of the whole SpaceX situation based on the fact that we have limited or no knowledge about it?
Okay, so I feel you, and I feel you because reasonable question, and then I'm going to stick a pin and say why we don't have any knowledge about it. That's what we fear. Not
Right, we don't think that they should have done proper education about the situation.
Yes, this is what I'm saying.
Before they come in,
That's-
that people would be more aware of what's going on.
I agreeing with you, sir. I'm agreeing with you.
Okay, I'm going to hang
Okay,
up.
thank you. Well, let's talk about the negatives just briefly, right? Or the perceived negatives, right? I'm surprised we're still doing business with Elon Musk. As an African, as a queer woman, right? Because that's two. Remember, that's two strikes on Hitler's list. That's maybe even three. There's plenty strikes. As an African woman who could produce more Africans, as a queer woman, I am deeply perturbed and concerned about what appears to be our government's lack of moral compass by continuing to do business with somebody that had the audacity to do the Heil Hitler twice on George Washington's inauguration stage, right? That's just one negative that does not seem to deter us. Let's go to the phone line. Good morning, caller. Sorry, I missed you, caller. Good morning, caller.
Good morning. How are you today, ma'am?
I am good, thank you. Glad to be alive.
Yes, yes.
Yes,
My
sir.
condolences on the passing of your friend and
Thank you, sir.
son of Mr. Edwards.
Yes, sir.
Yes, thank you. I initially, I don't want to backtrack, but I was
Yes.
initially excited of the educational opportunity career for young people. I'm not altogether excited about the space situation, using the Bahamas in quotation mark as a guinea pig dumping ground, so to speak. But I'm not going to elaborate too much on that. But I'm going to refer to some of the remarks that were made prior to that
Yes, sir.
in terms of sound.
Mm-hmm.
It was said that the sound would just be like a gunshot, perhaps because we used to hearing gunshot here and there, and a little further out it would be like a little firecracker, and apparently it was much more than that. Even though I did not hear it myself, the way I heard so many persons speaking about it, I think that it already failed the first set of tests that they or criteria that they set for themselves.
Yes.
So yes, it's alarming, it's disturbing, and so in that regard, I think, and also the failure to follow through, proceed the necessary standards that were needed. That's another situation.
Yes, sir. Thank
Have a
you.
nice day.
Thank you very much, sir.
Welcome.
Absolutely. Ian?
My thing is this. We have seen companies come in and out of the Bahamas. The reality is this. How do you protect the Bahamian people? We had a former company that was here in the country, if you can recall, the Clico situation, right? Mm-hmm. They didn't have any money in holdings. So when everything went haywire, they were able to just up and leave. You bring SpaceX now. What is the contingency plan now? Or
I got you. Hold on, I got you. I got you. These boys them have rocket. Hold on, these boys them have rocket. How you gonna stop them from leaving the jurisdiction?
But my thing is this. We can assess the environment and say that if there is something that takes place out of the ordinary, if the damage is irreparable, what is the sum or compensation that one will be giving to the Bahamian people for this fallout? And you're in the Exuma chains.
You're in this whale migratory path.
You're in a place where Neil Armstrong
Listen.
says from the skies.
I-
That is the most beautiful place on the planet.
I'm still stunned.
I'm still trying to figure that out.
I'm still stunned that they decided to put this inside the Exuma
Yeah.
mini archipelago as opposed to outside of it.
Even for the
But I could be honest-
mariners.
I could be honest with you.
perspective.
We've had a Commodore who couldn't swim. We've had a Commodore of the Royal Bahamas Defense Force who could not swim.
Could he float?
You know what? That's an important question. Because if you could float, you still got use. If you could float, you still got use. Producer, let's go to the phone line. Let's take this caller. I'm going to read some text, and then Ian, I promise you we're going to transition to our next
Please,
story.
definitely.
Good morning, caller.
Good morning to you and to your guest, Ian.
Good morning.
Just let me first say, right? We are a shipping registry,
Yes, sir.
right? So we can now claim to be in the shipping industry. And considering all the planes that land here, we are now in the aeronautical industry. Because our rocket landing here makes us into the space industry, then all things being equal, we already have these other industries here, and what impact it is having on the economy. But when we look on the noise pollution, right? Sound travels through water 5 times faster than it travels through air. And temperature in warm water increases the efficiency of the sound traveling through water as well as the distance. It's the same thing for the noise. This is why in Florida and other places, when you move up the equator and certain different things, a certain angle, this is why you can, just consider in West End, when they take off from Cape Canaveral, we don't hear it. But on Grand Bahama, we could hear the noise. All of these different things is certain dynamics that you can't use the standards of anybody else to do it here. And so, do you know noise pollution, if you want to be really scientific, can actually negatively affect plants?
Oh, yeah.
Short-term noise exposure can have long-term effect on plants and shrubs. We have a unique
Hold on. Let me tell you something. Sit down. You sitting down? Let me tell you something. You see when you see these cars with the heavy bass booming inside the car, and you realize it's just bouncing, right? The car bouncing, your car bouncing, the sound bouncing off the walls, even though the windows are up.
Right.
That kills men's sperm count.
Sperm count.
It drops it. I mean, it kills men's sperm ability, and I'm not sure if it's the ability to produce sperm or if it kills what exists. It's dangerous.
No, what happens is it changes the testosterone level, because what happens is noise pollution causes hearing loss, sleep disturbance. You could be exposed to noise pollution today, downtown, and go home tonight and actually have a sleep disturbance.
And if y'all think we're joking, y'all remember the story coming out of Cuba where the Americans and I think the British alleged that somebody was using a frequency, like sound frequency-powered weapon to disturb U.S. actors.
And that was sound they couldn't hear. So I just see this whole concept that, that we think that, tourists going to come to go on a boat so they could stay 20 miles away to see something land, because you can't be within this particular zone. Do you think they're 20 miles away when it's landing in Florida? See, all of these things we have to take in perspective. It's amazing that we could actually claim that this is going to increase STEM education, that this is going to increase our desires for Bahamians to become astronauts, and so what these become is convoluted and conflated statements. When we didn't need SpaceX to do all of the things we're saying that can be done because they're going to land something here, could be done before they even came here for 2 decades. And the question is, if we didn't do it then, why would we do it now, even with a $1 million contribution to the University of Bahamas? Because a curriculum, you say you're going to do it when they reach university after we ignored them for 12 years in high school?
See, Alan, look here. You making so much sense.
See.
Let me go.
Also, go.
Before I let you go, the people in Grand Bahama say, look here, y'all Nassau people talking about Grand Bahama with no frame of reference. So, sir, I'm going to reach out to you anytime I have an issue about Grand Bahama. If you're available to join the conversation, please do.
I would be happy to call you from the grave.
But
Good stuff.
See, Alan, before you go, see, Alan, a question. Is Grand Bahama booming?
Well, you ask, man, see, Alan, don't answer.
Booming with wild animals who could no longer be taken care of. We got mold and mildews growing that is totally hotels filled to capacity. We now have more abandoned buildings than you got people in the shanty town who say they won't sleep in these buildings.
I got to ask a question.
No, okay, thank you.
Aaron, I had to ask a question.
See, Alan, thank you.
I had to poke him.
Thank you so much.
I had to poke him.
See, Alan say the hotel filled to capacity
I had
with mold.
I had to poke him.
Listen, just quickly as we transition, I read a couple texts. When I was in 8th grade, Ian, I had a book report I had to do, and I picked The Challenger, the book written about the teacher, Sally Ride, who died in the Challenger explosion, right? Mm-hmm. And before reading that book, I wanted to be an astronaut. And after reading that book, I realized, not that I didn't want to be an astronaut, but in 8th or 9th grade, I think it was 8th grade, I realized that it was too late for me to become an astronaut. That I would not have access to the opportunities, right, and the educational opportunities, the extracurricular opportunities.
The facilities.
All right, I would not have access to what it would take for me to get into an aeronautical program. In 8th grade, I knew that. I want to say thank you to QC because sometimes we don't understand how education actually works, right? But see, Alan, you made that point. I wanted to bring that up. We all don't even know how to produce astronauts. But here's a text. Erin, two things. First, are you troubled that the entirety of NASA was looking around asking what was that noise straight up to Tuesday morning, meaning while the DPM was telling us last week that the booster landing had been studied extensively and every safety precaution had been taken, we should have known something was wrong because this is what they tell us before every hurricane. Nobody knew there would be this massive explosive sound heard by everybody on Nassau. It appears we only know what we are told. Further, people in Eleuthera reported that their houses shook. Do you know what the impact of shaking a house 20 times might be? Just asking for the people in Eleuthera. Text, I wanted to make that point before I transition. What we read was that people within, is it 7 to 10? But like 10 nautical miles will hear a distinct sound. And people a little further out, I think 10 to 15 nautical miles, would hear a different sound. Nobody said that we would hear sound as it traveled across its trajectory, right? Nobody said that. I just think that it's important to point out that we know that y'all loose as a goose. We know y'all is get up on the rally stage and think you could dance your way to an election. But nobody had the expectation that you would be loose as a goose in the aeronautical industry. Is that why y'all let Ministry of Tourism take the lead? So we wouldn't have the expectation of a need to adhere to strict technical standards? Because the Ministry of Tourism should not have, investments in aviation should not have been leading this, at least not the tourism part of the portfolio. Why didn't the minister responsible for aviation lead it? Anyway, we're going to take a break, Ian. When we get back from the break, we're going to transition to this next subject.
Yes, to turn up.
We have to. And there's an important link to the conversations. Anyway, this is a song by a group called Foreign Sound. They Bahamian. That voice you're hearing, that's Maz. He coming in studio soon. But I playing this for Quinn and all of us who have lost loved ones. All of us who feel like we needed more time to make things right with our friends. Stay tuned to On the Clock. We will be right back.
Collect the Bear of the Bahamas invites you to Victory Fest 2025. Join us Saturday, March 1st at Smuggler Square for an epic celebration of the 2024 Boxing Day and 2025 New Year's Junkin' of Winners, the Saxon Superstars. Enjoy music by Playhouse DJs, Lil Giant, DJ Tank, and performing live, Van Sean and D-Mac. Let's celebrate the 4 straight Junkin' of Winners, Saxon Superstars. Victory Fest 2025, Saturday, March 1st at Smuggler Square. Hosted by Rika C. Gates open at 8 p.m. Let's celebrate Junkanoo, culture, and the Saxon Superstars. Collect reminds you to drink responsibly, please.
Here's a price list of some of the roofing material we carry at Pinder Enterprises. 5/8 pressure-treated roofing ply starting at $36.68. Gray Select Water Shield, $134.20 a roll. Felt, 15 pounds, $16.50. 30 pound, $19.80. Owens, Corning Duration Shingles, and certain Teed Landmark Shingles, $56.56 a bundle. Gallon of roof cement, $33.47. All sizes treated dimensional lumber. And of course, we have all nails and all screws. We have 5/8 sheetrock, $28.76. Half-inch sheetrock, $22.18. All prices include VAT.
Love the show? Want to give your support? Become a sponsor today. Call 302-2300 for our rates and packages. That's 302-2300. Become a sponsor on Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, streaming on GuardianTalkRadio.com and the Guardian Radio app, Nassau, Bahamas.
Hey, what's the matter? What's the matter?
He really sure did. I mean, he just lost all control. He squeezed the mango.
Don't squeeze the mango. Don't squeeze the mango. Rum and lemon sweet, you know. Don't squeeze the mango. Don't squeeze the mango. Don't squeeze the mango. Rum and lemon sweet, you know. Don't squeeze the mango. On my last trip down to Foggy Bay, this is what the lady said. They all are ripe and sweet, you know. But please don't squeeze the mango.
Welcome back to On the Clock. Thank you, producer. That's Don't Squeeze the Mango by Kayla Lockhart. Is it the Kayla Lockhart Trio? Kayla Lockhart Trio. Now listen, Kayla Lockhart Edwards is the mother of Marquin Edwards. I knew Marquin before I knew Marquin because the first video I ever watched in my whole life over and over again was the Perry Como tourism promotional video. That's the one with Blind Blake when he's with, what's the name, Tennille? They're doing Love, Love, Love Alone. That's the first video I ever watched. That's how I know the Bahamas. Blind Blake did a couple songs, I think, on that track, on that promotional video. That was Kayla Lockhart Trio and Perry Como singing Don't Squeeze the Mango. I didn't know Quinn before I did know Quinn. Right, one thing I know, Quinn love his mommy. Anyway, before I start crying, Ian, let's transition quickly to this story. Here's the segue. Here's how we're going to transition. The government is bringing back has brought back 491 or re-engaged 491 former public servants. How many of them know about Rocket? How many of them know about Rocket? I just saying. Now listen. This subject is also sensitive to me because I realize I probably know a couple of these people very well. My mother may have been a part of the last cohort, so I putting everything on the table, right? Mm-hmm. But I also am severely underemployed in my own country. Severely underemployed in my own country. And there are tons of young people.
But there's a blockage.
There's a blockage or a blockade?
Both of them.
Because a blockage is something that happens. A blockade is something that is designed, right?
It is designed. I mean, look at the system where we speak about young people and empowering young persons, parents that are making the sacrifices to send their children abroad to be educated, to come back home to a place where they are saying to them, there's nothing readily available for you at this moment, or you're too overqualified. What about the individuals that have been in the system for some 20 or 15 years without a promotion? I mean, how do we justify that? There's no justification for some things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? And you're saying to me 491 individuals are brought back as retirees when they've already gotten a pension. That's like triple and double dipping, man. I mean, that's just a crazy situation there. I mean, for you to even say that, even as a government or an individual responsible for the departments, to state that we would bring back these individuals. I think Miss Belinda Wilson would have, in her statements, would have outlined some things that she would have discovered in regards to the car allowances, the cell phone allowances, all of these particular things. Here are some young people haven't even gotten their first mortgages, let alone any mortgage to that fact, or being able to say, applying for a home, and the banks are saying to them they are not qualified, or they need 2 or 3 people to go stand with them to be approved. You know, these are taxing situations. And so how do we say we engage some young people? But here we have the staggering numbers at 491 individuals. It's an indictment on the government. It's an indictment on human resources. It's an indictment on those individuals who sat in those positions for 30 and 35 years, who's not trained any individual to take the place of them, and only them, they're saying, that is qualified to come back after we would have given you your roses.
Okay then, that's a whole lot. All right, let me respond to that. First things first. some articles to read to understand what we're referencing. First article from yesterday's Guardian, nearly 500 retired public servants re-engaged. Right, that's the first article. Now, today's article in the Tribune, retired, but 491 back on payroll. And then I found some older articles, right, that may cause a problem. Because the question I have to ask is this ageism? The people, the 3 score and 10 gang, to say this is ageism. Hold on, but I use the 3 score and 10 gang reference, the 3 score and 10 reference, because God saying nothing promised after 3 score and 10.
Erin, in the Bahamas, if you reach 60 years old, you know what they say in banking terms?
Yeah. It's time to go home.
It's time to go home. If you're 65, we said retirement.
But you know what NIB is saying? NIB is saying that they need to raise the retirement age to 67.
Why? Question is why?
Because they don't have any money. Well, it's one of the options. They gave several.
One of them.
Right. They gave several options to resolve. So one of them is raising the retirement age.
So then how do we justify a 70-plus-year-old individual that is sitting in director spots and permanent secretary spaces and so forth within the government after they've worked for the government for 35 and 45 years and after they would have been paid?
All right.
How can we justify that?
So
when young individuals
who
have been in the system underneath the same set of people have yet to be promoted or be placed in a position, but yet we say we believe in the young people.
So let's talk about two things. Here's what I am attempting to do, Ian. I am attempting to take the blame off of people, individuals, and focus on the structural issues that arise. And I declared it. First of all, my mommy was one of them last set.
My mommy's 72, so she worked for the institution for 45 years. And you know what she said when she went? She went an exemplary employee. And if they would have asked her to come back, you know what she would have said? I've done my job.
Now,
I have trained the people. That ain't happening.
Hold on. In my mother's instance, she was working on specific areas that dealt with young people, with vulnerable people, with unhoused children and minors. Social services, okay. Building children's homes. So I could appreciate why she said, yes, I'll come back. Here's my issue, though. Where is the structure? Where is the framework that allows the extraction of institutional knowledge from career and long-time civil servants, that the things that they know you cannot learn in a university, you can only learn through working the system? What is the process, the procedure, the framework to extract that information and then make it accessible
for others?
So that's the first thing, right? So I see an indictment on the system where some people are like, man, I prepared to serve my country no matter how old I am, despite what circumstances caused us to get here. But here's the next thing. This signals to me that inability to extract institutional knowledge signals to me an administrative crisis. Now, on the other side, something that you reference, what we need to ask is, how is it that somebody that has served 40 years, and like my mother, 40 plus years. So
45, 40 for most people, 40 to 45 years.
Some other people, how is it that people who serve the government for 40 plus years attain senior positioning and the pay scale that's commensurate with that? How is it that some of these people now find themselves in a place of financial need that would prompt them to go back to work in the government? See, because I am thinking in 2025, I expect a senior civil servant that's been re-engaged, who retired at the top of the pay scale, the entire pay scale, to say to the government, look here, I'm willing to come back, but why y'all don't change this law? Why are you prepared to pay me the full salary, all the perks, all the benefits that I got when I was actually employed?
So there is no young individual or individuals who are qualified enough to sit in those positions, even as being persons who have never obtained a mortgage before or a piece of land in the Bahamas.
Man, Ian,
so are we training for succession?
Exactly, right? There's an administrative crisis, and then it appears to be a producer. If you prep that call, you gone. I was just about to tell the producer, but it's too late now because I was only giving you 30 seconds, right? Is there a structural, financial, or economic crisis where people are realizing that even after working for 40 plus years, they have not been able to construct a retirement plan that could take care of them until the end of their days?
I totally disagree with that. I'll say one word to you: blockage.
Anyway, like I say, it's a very sensitive subject to me, producer. I ain't got time to take that call, right? Caller, you got 30 seconds.
Yeah, 30 seconds. You talk too many, man. This GNN. Listen, I don't know why we always just be arguing and all these for hours with these polluted topics and all that bullshit. Only one thing we got to do to find out what's going on: investigate them 480 or 91 vehicles and see how much of them is F&M or PLB. And that's your answer.
Okay, hold on. Do you mean how many have shown a overt and public affiliation with a political party despite the general orders?
Yes, you know just what I'm saying.
Okay.
So we ain't got to, they ain't got to fancy about exploitation and all that, because some of them shouldn't have been there when they first.
Man, look here, I tell you, I declare my bias at the beginning of the conversation, GNN.
Thank you very kindly. You all have a wonderful
You do,
day.
sir.
Thank you, sir. Ian, I got to go. We all out of time. Now, I'm having a conversation with Dr. Cleveland Eneas III that may be of interest with you. I realize Cecil sent you here to me to make sure I good, and for that I say thank you, Cecil. Thank you, Cecil. So you want to sit in this next hour with me, please stick around. You guys, thank you for tuning in with me today. You hold your family close. Reach out to your loved ones. Even said, look here, ain't nobody I love rowing with more than Quinn. Love one another. You guys have a great day. And see you in the next hour. We talking a different talk.
No, your words they never burn out. You turn to him and sing.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, streaming on GuardianTalkRadio.com and the Guardian Radio app, Nassau, Bahamas.